Jazzcast Pros.
Have you hit the point where nothing seems to work, where sleep feels just out of reach no matter what you try? You say you want rest, but your nightly habits may be telling a different story. What may be keeping you stuck are those thoughts that sneak in beneath the surface. You know, my brain just doesn't shut off, or I need to stay up late to get everything done. I'm just a bad sleeper. If I could just find the right sleep tool or aid, I'd sleep fine. Or I've tried everything, but nothing works. These are not facts, they're stories. Stories your brain tells you to avoid discomfort, avoid change, and avoid ownership. You normalize poor sleep because we live in a culture that glorifies burnout and views sleep as a luxury. But believing that your sleep is unfixable is the ultimate self-sabotage, and it's optional. So in this episode of the Doze Podcast, we're cutting through the noise and getting straight to the truth. And I'm calling out the subtle self-sabotage that could be standing in your way and sharing simple, no-excuse steps to help you reset and reclaim your sleep. No complicated routines, no unrealistic promises, just what works to get you back on track starting tonight. Welcome to the Doze Podcast. I'm your host, Soda Kuczkowski, certified sleep coach, sleep health educator, and the founder of Start With Sleep in the Doze. I've spent more than 2 decades in sleep medicine, coaching individuals, companies, and even entire communities on how to reclaim their rest and reset their sleep. And here's the truth that I've seen over and over again. Most people say they want better sleep, but then unknowingly stand in their own way. And yes, that includes you. You know, I've seen it over and over again. You tell yourself you've tried everything and desperately want better sleep, but cling to the habits, mindsets, patterns, and excuses that sabotage it night after night. And that cycle, it stops today. Let's get one thing straight. Sleep is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but with consistency and intention. And resetting your sleep does not require perfection. It just takes more commitment. So how can you shift in the right direction? Well, if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels, I'm going to walk you through 5 simple, powerful steps to start sleeping better tonight. Now, the first is to cut out the nightly delay loop. I want you to stop using evenings to reclaim your time by sabotaging your sleep. You know the pattern. One more episode, one more scroll. That revenge bedtime procrastination, it's a trap and it's killing your sleep. You put off sleep because you feel like maybe you didn't get enough time for yourself, but what you end up with is even less energy and more resentment the next day. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to grab your phone and I want you to set an alarm labeled shutdown and sleep prep. And I want it to be scheduled for at least 60 minutes before your bedtime. What I want you to do is set a non-negotiable tech cutoff time and ideally at least an hour before bed. You know, if you could do it for 2 hours, that'd be even better. What your brain needs is a break from stimulation to actually wind down. And you want to add to that, perhaps keeping the electronics off and out of your bed. You know, I'm thinking no laptops, tablets, or smartphones. I want you to truly step away from not only the blue light, but potential triggers that can keep your mind cycling instead of settling down and preparing for sleep. Second, I want you to set a fixed wake-up time, and that includes weekends. I want you to forget the myth that you can catch up on sleep because you can't catch up on it the way that you think. What your body craves is rhythm. So tonight, I want you to pick a wake-up time and I want you to stick with it every single day. Commit to at least 7 days straight. After that, I want you to watch how quickly your body begins to reset. Set your morning alarm and put your phone across the room so that you actually have to get up to turn it off. And then once you have been consistent, then you can allow yourself to sleep in a little. And I want you to think about it in terms of 90-minute increments because this is an average of an adult full sleep cycle. So if you normally wake up at 7 a.m., 8:30 is your cutoff. But I don't want you to overdo it because oversleeping does just as much damage. Next, I want you to declutter your sleep space. Your bedroom should be for sleep, not a storage closet, not an office, not your entertainment hub, because how it looks is how your brain will treat it. You need to send a clear signal. This space is for sleep. And I'm firm on setting up your space for sleep success. And I'll drop a link to the episode where I break down everything you need to do to set up the ideal sleep environment. But for tonight, I want you to start by clearing out any visual clutter, remove unnecessary electronics, and make your sleep space peaceful and conducive to sleep, which means cool, dark, and quiet. The fourth tip is one that I often personally struggle with, and this is to stop eating and drinking too close to bed. Late night snacking, alcohol, or even too much water can sabotage, our sleep by triggering digestion or bathroom trips at night. So tonight, I want you to start by closing the kitchen at least 2 hours before bed and keep your drinks light in the evening. One tip that I use is brushing my teeth earlier. But if you must snack, there are some snacks that can satisfy that hunger without compromising your sleep. Things like a banana, some almonds, or Greek yogurt. But of course, what works best is going to depend on your dietary restrictions. But you want to just make sure that you keep it light and avoid sugar. And last, I want you to own your wind down time with no exceptions. Know that your sleep is not something you fall into. It's something that you lead yourself into. You need a ritual that tells your body it's safe to slow down now. So tonight, I want you to pick just one calming ritual and commit to it. Whether it be setting the alarms that I shared, dimming all the lights, and really assessing the lighting in your home. And I'll drop a link for setting your sleep space for sleep success below. Or stretch gently. Try some yoga for sleep poses. One of my favorite wind down rituals to support sleep is a simple pose called legs up the wall. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's rest and digest mode, making it easier to fall asleep and to stay asleep. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to lie on your back, scoot your hips close to the wall, and rest your legs straight up against it. And just let your arms fall to your sides and close your eyes. This gentle inversion helps calm the nervous system, lower your heart rate, reduce swelling in the legs, and ease tension in the lower back and hips. It also reverses blood flow, which can support circulation and lymphatic drainage after a long day. And you can hold this pose for 5 to 15 minutes, just long enough to feel your breath slow and your mind quiet down. And if your legs tingle, just bend your knees or come out slowly. And you can also add soft lighting or calming breathing practice. And you have yourself a powerful, no equipment needed ritual to signal to your body that it's safe and time for sleep. So before we wrap, I need to say this. If your inner voice keeps saying nothing works, I want you to pause and really reflect and be honest with yourself, because that belief is part of the problem. You may not be sabotaging your sleep on purpose, but those thoughts, those patterns, they're running the show and keeping you from what you really want. And instead of, I've tried everything, I want you to start asking yourself some things. What have I been inconsistent with? What am I expecting to change without preparation? And what part of me still believes that sleep is something I have to earn? This shift is where your reset truly begins. What you have to understand is that sleep is not a reward you get after checking off your to-do list. It's the foundation that makes everything else possible. Sleep is not a one-size-fits-all formula, but it is trainable. It takes time, consistency, and the willingness to stop outsourcing your sleep to external fixes and to start owning the process. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. And you don't need to overhaul your life to get it back on track. You just need to stop sabotaging yourself. I want you to start with just one of the steps tonight and keep stacking them, because your future self, who's rested, clear-headed, and energized, will thank you. And if this episode gave you a bit of a wake-up call, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to share it with someone else who needs it too. Someone who believes I'm just not a good sleeper, because you both deserve better. And if you want more support, tools, or personalized guidance, you can visit us at startwithsleep.com or thedoze.co to explore our coaching services and sleep tools to help you stay on the right path. Until next time, remember, you're just a few small choices away from your best sleep yet.